The envelope trembled in the boy's hand as he stretched it toward the judge, and the whole courtroom went silent, because everyone knew what was inside would either save his mother or destroy what was left of their family. "Order," the bailiff murmured, though no one had spoken. Judge Harold Ellison stared down at the small hand holding the paper, then at the woman kneeling beside the boy, her wrists still marked from the handcuffs she'd worn into the room. Dirt streaked her cheeks. Her clothes hung off her like they belonged to someone else, someone who used to eat regular meals. Her name was Marissa Cole. 3 days ago, she'd been arrested for trespassing, sleeping with her 8-year-old son, Eli, under the awning of a closed pharmacy during a rainstorm. The store owner pressed charges. The system did the rest. "Please," Marissa whispered, her hands clasped so tight her knuckles had gone white. "He doesn't understand what's happening." But Eli understood more than anyone realized. He stood at the edge of the defendant's table, refusing to sit down when the deputies told him to. He'd been carrying that envelope inside his jacket for 2 days, protecting it like it was the only thing he owned, which, in a way, it was. Judge Ellison had sentenced hundreds of people in this courtroom. He believed in order, in consequences, in the letter of the law. He had also buried his own son 11 years ago, a boy who would have been about Eli's age now if he'd lived. Nobody in this room knew that. Nobody needed to. "Young man," the judge said, his voice rough. "What is this?" "It's my case," Eli said. "Not my mom's case. Mine. You have to read it before you decide." A ripple of confusion moved through the gallery. The prosecutor half rose from his chair, ready to object, but something in the boy's face made him sit back down. If you believe a child's courage can still move even the hardest hearts, that compassion hasn't disappeared from this world. Hit like and subscribe now, because what happens in the next few minutes will change how you see justice forever. Judge Ellison took the envelope. His hands, usually so steady when signing sentences, hesitated over the flap. Inside was a single folded sheet, filled with a child's uneven handwriting. Some words crossed out and rewritten, like it had taken many attempts to get right. He began to read silently. The courtroom waited. The letter explained that 3 months ago, Marissa had lost her job at a diner when the owner cut hours to save money. She'd fallen behind on rent within weeks. Her landlord didn't wait. He changed the locks while she was out looking for work, leaving everything they owned on the curb. She never called a shelter, because the last time she tried, a caseworker had threatened to separate her from Eli if she couldn't prove stable housing within 30 days. So she chose silence. She chose the streets. She chose to keep her son, even if it meant losing everything else. But that wasn't the part that made the judge's hand tighten around the paper. The letter said that 2 nights before the arrest, Eli got sick with a fever. Marissa had no money for medicine. A stranger, an old man walking his dog near the library, noticed them shivering on a bench and quietly left a bag of soup, a blanket, and $40 without ever saying a word. He just kept walking. Eli wrote that he never learned the man's name, but he never forgot his face. That small act of kindness bought them 2 more days. 2 days that led them here into this exact courtroom in front of this exact judge, who many years ago, before he ever wore a robe, used to walk the same stretch of sidewalk near that same library every evening with his dog, after his own son died and he couldn't stand being home. The judge's breath caught. He looked up at Eli, and for a moment the boy wasn't a stranger anymore. He was every kindness Ellison had quietly given away over the years and never spoken of, coming back to find him. But there was more, something the judge hadn't expected. The letter ended with a request. Not for leniency, not for sympathy. Eli had written, "My mom taught me that doing the right thing is more important than doing the easy thing, even when nobody's watching. I don't want you to let her go because you feel sorry for us. I want you to look at what she actually did. Protected me every single night, never once left me alone, never gave up. That's not a crime. That's a mother." The courtroom had gone completely still. Somewhere in the back, someone was crying quietly. This was the moment the whole story had been building toward, because what Judge Ellison decided next would either restore this family's faith in the world or shatter it completely. Judge Ellison set the letter down. He removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes, something the clerks had never seen him do in 14 years on the bench. "Miss Cole," he said slowly, "stand up." Marissa rose on shaking legs, pulling Eli close to her side. "This court finds that the charges against you do not reflect a crime," he said. "They reflect a system that failed you long before you ever stepped inside that pharmacy doorway." "Charges dismissed." Gasps spread through the gallery. Marissa nearly collapsed, catching herself on the table. But the judge wasn't finished. He turned to his clerk. "Contact Restoration House on 5th Street. Tell them the housing voucher fund I set up in my son's name has an opening. Effective today." Nobody but his clerk knew what that fund meant to him. Nobody needed to. Eli looked up at the judge, and for the first time all week he smiled. Ellison came down from the bench, knelt to the boy's height, and said quietly, "Your mother didn't need saving today, son. You saved her the moment you decided to fight for her instead of giving up." Outside the courthouse that afternoon, sunlight broke through the clouds for the first time in a week. Marissa held Eli's hand tightly as they walked toward a future that, 24 hours earlier, hadn't seemed possible.